This is a 2025 Honda Odyssey. But wait, why are we reviewing minivans? Well, it might be your traditional loser cruiser, or it just might be a stealthy family funmobile. Come with us on this journey and we're gonna find out. It's road trip time, everybody. Here we go. Let's do a quick walk around tour of the exterior, and I'll call out a couple things that I think are nice about this Odyssey. Now, it's a minivan, and there's a limit to how much styling you can do on any minivan, so we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the appearance itself, but more on the features. First and foremost, the side backup, the side mirrors, the rear view mirrors, if you want to call them that, the side mirrors, drop down, tilt down when you put the car in reverse, which is a nice feature that sometimes you have to spend on a luxury vehicle to get. So they've included that in this package. I do like the low profile situation that we have going on here with the lower ground clearance. It's just easier to get in and out of. You've got push button door lock capability here with the traditional key access if you need it. And then on both sides, you have the automated door assist where you literally just pull the handle once to open it. And you can either push the button in here, it has buttons on both sides to close it, or just pull the handle again and it will magically go closed. On around to, well, almost to the back, to the rear, one of the quarter panels here. All the minivans have to do this now. There's just really no clever way around it, but you've got your fuel door here, and if you want to practice your F1 speed refills, it's a capless fuel tank, which means you just stick the nozzle in and the thing opens. But where I was going with this is, if that fuel door is open, and you probably can't hear this, I can hear it beeping at me from inside. It is telling me, hey dummy, you left the fuel door open. You're gonna break it off if you try to open the side door, so it won't let you. So they've put that safety feature in, which they had to, and it's nice. They're gonna do the thinking for you so that you don't have to. Around to the back, we've got a rear wiper here, which they all have now. The one call out that I will say here that I'm not super thrilled about, and it is great, at its top height, at the highest this lift gate will go, it's about a 6-foot clearance. I'm 5'11", so it's right there. Depending on what kind of surface the vehicle is parked on, whether it's level or not, you're probably going to be into a situation where you're going to occasionally hit your head. So you've got to be mindful of that. The other thing that I don't super love about this, that I know some manufacturers do offer, there's no way to lock the whole vehicle with just the lift gate button. So for example, on some cars, you press it once to shut it, you press it twice to lock. This one doesn't do that. It'll still be unlocked. It does unlock. If I will push the button here, it will unlock the rest of the vehicle. I have it set that way in the vehicle settings. But there's no convenient, easy way to lock all the doors with just one button. Final thoughts on the exterior here. Pretty easy to get in and out of the front passenger, which is not always the case on all minivans. They do have grab handles that fold up on both sides. I wasn't sure if there was one on the passenger side. There is, it's right here. So if you need that help getting in and out, you've got it here. You can actually, they make it easy enough that if you need to sit down first, slide in, grab the handle, and then turn around. Maybe you need some mobility help or whatnot. You can do that on this one. So it's pretty easy to get in and out of that way, or the traditional feet first, and you're done. So pretty well thought out from a ease of access if you have mobility issues. Nobody buys a car nowadays without paying attention to the tech features in that vehicle, so this is not going to be any exception to that rule. Let's take a look at what we get specifically in the center infotainment area. All right, so first of all, get the clock up here. it's going to be able to do your typical Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You do have a Sirius XM option, and then trip computer, fun stuff like that. It can do USB music if you need that capability. You've got Wi-Fi capability in it as well, so you can do system updates, Honda Link, of course, and a lot of your vehicle-specific settings you can get into here in the general settings area. Now, one of the things that I find a little bit annoying, and I don't think this is unique to this Honda Odyssey, I know a lot of manufacturers are just doing this now, but the connection lag that you get specifically for me on Android Auto, from the time you start the vehicle up until the time that you have a good solid connection, it's just a pain. You can literally be on down the road and driving before you have your directions actually working and telling you where to turn. So not thrilled about the amount of time it takes to connect. Some other things though that are really cool, if we go into all apps and see if I can find this in here. Yep, here it is. It's called Cabin Talk. And so it's just kind of fun to mess around with. The concept behind this is quite literally, it lets everyone hear you that's in the back of the vehicle. So for example, hello everyone, this is your captain speaking. Today we're going to be subscribing to this YouTube channel by clicking the little subscribe link. If you're viewing this video from the rear of the vehicle, please make sure you find that subscribe button, click it, and ring the bell. That way you'll be notified when another great video comes out. And as always, thank you for flying with us today. All right, so that's Cabin Talk. You do have some real basic settings here on the left side that are very typical of all the Honda vehicles now: range and fuel, tire pressure. You can get nav directions that overlay here onto this left gauge with the tach. Surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly these days, not a lot of engine information, meaning I don't see any way to get engine temp. I don't see any way to see oil pressure or temp. Your typical warning light or gauges that you would have in previous years and previous generations that let me know, for example, if my engine's running hot. Those don't exist here. Now, I know that they do have warning lights that pop up for certain things, and they're trying to use that space wisely, and they can't have all the gauges anymore. Still, it's not there, so just if that matters to you, those days are sadly probably gone. Phone works really well in this, and they do the typical microphone in between so that the passenger can get in on the calls as well. And last but not least, you do have your traditional AM and FM radio. If those things matter to you, they're here and available. Paddle shifters in a minivan? Why not when you've got the VTEC? This is something that Honda could have left out, but I really applaud their willingness to do this in a minivan, because it is kind of fun to use these things, and they did put a sport mode in the drive system, so why not, right? All right, so the shifter, I just wanted to give this some screen time here because it is different if you've not ever driven one of these before. It's all push button selection right here, just underneath the infotainment system, and it's quite literally push to park, push down to reverse, drive is here, neutral is here, double tap for sport mode, or tap it again to put it in sport mode. And you're not gonna see a change here, but you will see a change on the console in front of the driver. It switches from D to S. So these are your different drive modes. There's no traditional stick shift or anything like that. And then the other thing that's worth mentioning is when we go into reverse, you've got some pretty good camera options on this thing. So this is your cross traffic view. Then you have more of a straight on view, so it doesn't do the fisheye thing. And then a top down view, as I would consider it, from the lift gate. And I like the cross traffic because this does combine with an audible alert, and you can see this truck here moving. That guy was literally, if I looked out my left window, I could see it. And there's your cross traffic alert. Should get another one here in a second. Yep. So the reason I like this view is because you can see these guys from a long way off. Literally here is kind of out the passenger side window. So they do a good job with that. So this is automatic when you put the car, or the minivan in this case, in reverse. And then one other thing on the parking mode, a lot of vehicles have gone to this now. You're not gonna be able to see it very well from over there, but there is a button down here by my left hand, and the parking brake is electronic. So you have to pull. It's like one of those switches where you stick your finger up under it and you pull on it, and that will take the brake on or off depending on how you have it set. That's how it works. At the moment, we're doing 67 miles an hour, so we're at highway speeds. Quietness of the ride in highway speeds, I would say really good, really, really good. For a minivan, for a non-luxury automobile, I mean, it's a Honda, really good. Better than some luxury vehicles that are 3 or 4 years old that I've been in. So they did a really good job with reducing the road noise and the exterior noise. It just feels, it's good. It feels quiet inside. You don't have to raise your voice to have conversations. There's a big semi truck next to us right now. Not a big deal. He's shifting gears. Can barely hear it. All right, and before I forget, because this is a big deal to a lot of people, charging capabilities and power ports in the minivan. So they're everywhere. There's 2 up front here. Now, these 2 in particular, if you use, it is going to try to connect you to either Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. And one of the downsides to that is if the passenger needs to charge their phone, there's not really a great built-in option. Now, you do have this 180 watt max 12 volt DC power port here. You can put an adapter in there and that'll do the job, but it doesn't come with it, right? So, and some of the Hondas, like when Jay reviewed his HRV, had extra ports on the sides. You don't have that. The speeds of these built-in ports is pretty slow from a charging perspective. It's not great. They also have wireless charging, and if you will look right here, you can turn this on and off with the button here. It's got a little rubber grip. You can see that I've got my phone charging here. This thing is painfully slow. You know, over the course of an hour's drive, I might get a 10% charge. It's, unless you're going on a really, really long trip, a really, really long drive, not worth it. Just plug in. You do have additional power ports right behind this console for the second row, and then you've got some more of these 12 volt outlets in the back. So if you have things like a cooler, like we have ours plugged into for that, they did not put any AC ports in, so meaning the typical like you would have at your in your home on the wall, like a 2-prong or a 3-prong with the ground. There's none of those, so it's all DC. And you can put an adapter in there up to 180 watts and, you know, do it that way, but would have been nice to see that. Plenty of options to plug in, just not great for fast charging. Some notes on fuel economy. So we've done 2,350 miles on a trip, and we got all combined, which was a lot of highway driving, about 27 miles to the gallon. It's going to be a little less than that on a typical, you know, daily drive kind of routine, but all things considered, for a minivan that was fully loaded down, really, really good. We were carrying 4 people, and all the kayaks, suitcases, scooters, and toys you could possibly want. So I feel like Honda really did it right in terms of the balance between the efficiency of the internal combustion engine and just giving you enough power that it's not a dog. But with more power typically comes more fuel demand, right? Or reduced fuel efficiency. And I feel like this one just hit the sweet spot. So we're good there now. I do want to mention that you do have realistically 3 driving modes for the highway. There is a snow mode that you can use in bad weather, but that's not something that you would typically use when you're trying to track fuel economy. So the 3 modes that I'm talking about are your typical drive mode, your sport mode in case you want to go pink slips with another dad minivan driver, right? And then you have an economy button here that is going to do things when you're driving it. For example, with the speed control set, it'll reduce the output of the HVAC system, right? So it's basically cutting some of the energy going to that. And we ran this economy quite a bit on the interstate. Now, it was over 90 degrees out. We were in South Florida and the Keys with that running. The cabin stayed cool. We didn't have any issues with the air conditioner. Your mileage may vary, but it seemed to work really, really well in economy mode. I would not use economy mode for a lot of stopping and starting. I would tend to probably use it once the vehicle is up to speed and the engine's at a stable RPM. All right, and speaking of sport mode, we're gonna have a little bit of fun with this. Now, this is a minivan. It's still a minivan, regardless of how sporty they try to make it. So does it give you a little extra pop? Absolutely. This is a front wheel drive, and it is very easy to get this thing to break loose on you, especially if you've got a lot of weight in the back. So just keep in mind that this is not your typical dog engine in a minivan. They've given you enough here that you can zip around, and if you're not careful, enough can be too much. Because even minivans can do donuts. It does have a little bit of a throaty sound when you step on it. There's a little bit of a lag, but it will get up and go for you. So here we are at the back, and we're gonna spend a few minutes just going through some features around the back, also the cargo space back here. The Odyssey does have the capability, like a lot of vehicles have, that you can kick your foot under the bumper, and some of the models have a sensor. This one doesn't have it. I'm not really sure why, because it's got all the other bells and whistles on the remote, like remote start. I have side door control where I can open and close the side doors independently. So a little bit of an annoyance, considering that, you know, it's 2025 and we have the ability now to be carrying things, and pretty much everybody can do it. It's not on this one. However, you've got your button here, or you can use the remote. Either works for up or down. And from a cargo space perspective, we've got the third row folded down here. Now, let's say you wanted to take a trip to the Florida Keys, theoretically. These are what they call fold flat back seats, which is great. There are a few bumps going forward where it's not perfectly flat. There's a little bit of a ridge, but flat enough that you can organize your gear. We've got 2 scooters in here. We've got 3 kayaks. Well, 1 kayak, 2 stand-up paddle boards, a bunch of inflatable rafts, a storage bin, an RC boat, a tool bag, some tennis rackets, and we're still gonna have room for a cooler sitting up here, which is my EcoFlow Glacier. Make sure you watch the video review on that. And then our suitcases on top of that. And this can do all of that, and it's got tons of room. It's also got a 12-volt power outlet here, which is the round barrel plug type. And there's another 12-volt power outlet up there. And you've got some storage pockets here on either side. You can see this one, and then there are 2 on that side. So from a cargo perspective, if you're looking for a vehicle that is going to give you a lot of space, this is the way to go. We have packed this sucker full, and it's done great. So that's the back, and those are my thoughts on it. so a couple things in the cabin area in the rear before we put anything back in it or while it's empty. These are the fold flat seats. Now this is the third row or the back row. And I just want to call attention to the fact that they're flat-ish, right? So there's a little hump here where the seat hinges have to go. It's just necessary to do it that way so that you can have the seats actually fold down. So it's not perfectly flat, and you need to be mindful of that if you got to put something large in here, like a big cooler, something that you need to stay flat. Just know this is here. It's going to be manageable most of the time because you're just going to offset stuff and stack it like you need to. But keep that in mind. Moving up to the second row, I want to show you a cool feature here. So you actually have 3 seats in this middle row or this second row. These are nice. These are leather. They've got armrest on both sides. You can see that I had this one folded down just to deal with getting some stuff in and out, but they're completely removable. And then there's this cool little feature here where this middle row is on a rail system, so I can actually grab this handle and slide the seat out. Now, maybe I wanted to sit these two together towards the middle, right? Maybe I wanted to allow some pass through, whatever the case is. But this is a really cool feature. Now, the middle seat, which I'm gonna go get for you in a second, and let me tilt this up so that our cameraman can get through. And I'm gonna show you how easy it is to put this middle seat in. All right, so here's our seat. Seat actually has cup holders on it. So if you leave it in and pop it down, you can use it for cup holders. And we're gonna do that. And there are 4 contact points on the bottom, as you can see right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna put the front in first and then drop the back in after that. So we're just gonna slide it forward, drop it down till it clicks, and we're done. And there's your middle seat. It's not a full-size middle seat, by the way. Smaller kids won't mind it, but an adult's probably not gonna be super comfortable in there. Fewer and fewer people today buy cars with any interest at all in what's under the hood. Sad but true. If you don't believe me, just watch the car commercials now. They spend almost no time talking about the engine. Still, it is one of the single most expensive components in the thing you're about to buy. So it's worth, at the very least, just knowing what's there and taking a look. And that's exactly what we're gonna do here. Now, gone are the days of minivans that have engines buried way back in what they used to call a doghouse and you couldn't get to them. Honda has done a really good job of laying all this out, and not just for the DIYer, but really for their own techs as well. This is all gonna translate to maintenance time on the vehicle. If they can get to the stuff faster, it costs you less to have it serviced because there's less time involved to actually get to the thing that needs to be fixed. Not a lot specifically that most people are going to care about in terms of what's here and what you need to be doing. But I will say, you know, look, like even the oil check and the wiper washer fluid fill, and the oil fill is buried down here a little bit deep, not too bad though. And then your engine air filter is here. So just to kind of keep this in the spirit of all modern car purchasers, let's just leave it at the fact that there's more than just hamsters under the hood here. And they've done a good job at laying it out. If you want to go into in depth for this engine or anything like that, this is probably not going to be the video for you. But then again, who actually does that and buys a minivan? All right, guys, so just a couple final thoughts on this 2025 Honda Odyssey. Let's talk about who it's a good fit for and maybe who it's not a great fit for. Starting with, who is it for? Who would this be potentially a good car purchase for? Well, if you have a larger family, meaning you need to haul around more than 3 people, it's a good option. if you're looking at an SUV, believe it or not, if you're considering an SUV, I would also throw this in the mix. And I'll give you a couple good reasons for that. You've got probably more cabin room in this than you would a smaller SUV, and you're gonna have better fuel economy. So if that's a factor to you, this would be a good one to consider. Anybody that looks at an automobile as a necessity and they don't put much weight, if any at all, on appearance, this is a good go-to vehicle. It's so practical. There's so many things that you can do with this. You can put kayaks in the back, all the seats fold down, you can take long trips, you can do camping trips in it. It's just a good, practical, larger family vehicle. So if that's your option, consider it. If you have pets, because it sits lower to the ground, especially with older pets, it's easier for them to get in and out of. So good choice there. Pretty easy to clean it out when you fold everything down, or you can just leave everything folded down and your pets can come and go as they please. If I were going to buy this, who might it be suited for in terms of what other vehicles would you be looking at? Well, if you're looking certainly at the Pacifica, I would consider this maybe a little bit more of a solid option. The Toyota Sienna obviously is going to be their direct competition, I think. And smaller crossovers, just anything that you maybe were looking at doing a smaller crossover to get that better fuel economy, you can get that out of this. And the bonus is that you're going to get more space. Basically, as long as you don't need to tow anything or you have the entire Brady Bunch as your family, this is a good vehicle to consider. Now, who is this not a great fit for? It's not a great fit for anybody that needs to do any sort of off-roading or off-road camping. So if you need a good family camping vehicle, this would be a good choice, but not if you need to take it off the trail, obviously. People that want to impress someone with their car. I mean, let's be honest, guys, it's a minivan. I'm not sure who you're going to pick up with a vehicle like this. Towing. If you need to tow anything, this is a front-wheel drive, not a great option. Even a small trailer, I would rather have a rear-wheel drive if I'm going to do any sort of towing at all. And if you need to do that, you're probably going to want to look in the direction of an SUV. And interestingly enough, I would say this is also not a great fit for anybody that's tech adverse. So older people that are resistant to change, people that just don't want to learn technology. There's not a ton of tech in this Honda, but there's enough that you're going to have to learn some new things. The transmission shifting, for example, how to open and close the side doors. These are all things that you can figure out in a few minutes, and once you got them, but you do still have to go down the road of learning them. Same thing with like the backup systems, the park stop, the brake hold, the auto engine stop when you park is what I meant to say. All those are features that you probably are going to want to go in and learn how to use, as well as the remote start, things like that. So if you're tech adverse, not a great fit for you. All right, guys, so this brings us to the end of our first ever minivan review. I am actually really glad that we did it. It was fun. It was well worth the review. Honda did a great job on it. It checks a lot of boxes. So if this was helpful to you, please consider subscribing. We have a lot of content on our YouTube channel that is not just car reviews. There's how-to videos, there are product reviews, there's technology reviews. You can find all of that, and you can check us out on our website at partscounterguru.com, where we have links to our podcast as well as all this great video content. All right, guys, thank you so much for making me a part of your day, and we will see you on the next video.